Hey, what it do, YouTube? It's your boy Ref, and I'm back with another video. As always, if you like this video, like it. Request in the comment section down below any future videos y'all want me to react to, and hit the subscribe button. This is a reaction video to First Take Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman discussing Floyd Mayweather to UFC rumors, and we're gonna get straight to the reaction video, bro. Here we go.
What's your reaction?
I didn't speak to Floyd directly. I spoke to some people in his camp. They say no, there's no truth to it whatsoever. They said that obviously Floyd is going to make money with whatever he decides to do. Floyd is retired. He's not going to fight again. If by some miracle he decided to change his mind, in all likelihood, it would be in the boxing ring. It wouldn't be in UFC. That's not something that he would do. That's not something that the people close to him, particularly his loved ones and his business managers and others, would allow him to do. Floyd talks about this. He's been on the record talking about how the UFC wants him to do certain things. Floyd doesn't mind saying things like that because he doesn't mind reminding folks of how valuable he is, that he's Floyd Money Mayweather. So he could sign a 4-fight deal, for example, and make over $1 billion. That's the kind of guy he is, to remind you of who he is and what he brings to the table. So in the event that he decides to return to fight, that you understand that he can bring that kind of money to the table. But in the end, if he were to do so, it's not going to be in the UFC. It's going to be in the boxing ring. And from their understanding, there's no way on earth that he's going to do that. I saw Floyd at the Lakers game Monday night. We didn't have an opportunity to talk. We just shook hands and what have you. That's all that it was. But if you recall, just a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about the possibility of him returning to actually fight in the boxing ring, he literally FaceTimed me during the show to say, where the hell are these reports coming from? I'm done. I'm not fighting anymore. I talk about my value, but I'm not talking about actually fighting because I'm done with all of that. I don't necessarily know if I believe him from the standpoint that I think if the money is there to be made, considering how sloppy he looked against Conor McGregor because he didn't even train, his ego might want him to come back and fight again. But he swears that's not the case. But I've just been told there's no way in hell that if he elected to fight, it would be in the UFC. And that, I believe, considering how fragile his hands are and how he's never been kicked boxing or anything like that in his life, I don't see the UFC deal ever happening. If he came back, it would be in the boxing ring.
Here's a couple reasons why it might happen. Number one, Floyd Mayweather has told me and others before that he was retired, and he fought many times since then. The first time he told me he was going to be done, well, actually, the first time, he told a producer of mine at ESPN, going back to the Friday Night Fights days in the late 90s, he was just coming up. He said, I'm going to fight till I think he said 30, and then he was going to walk away. I thought, yeah, okay, no one ever does that. But it was something like that. He had this plan. And then the next time was that I can recall off the top of my head, there may have been others, was Antonio Margarito had just beaten Miguel Cotto. I ran into Floyd. I forgot where, maybe at press row at the Super Bowl or something like that. I said, Floyd, why don't you come back and fight Margarito? And he said, no, I don't do that anymore. I don't fight anymore. I'm done. He wasn't. He came back, had many fights, made most of his fortune, actually, since then. So it's hard to say. He may be telling you the truth right now, like, I'm done. But if he wakes up tomorrow and feels differently, he could fight again. That's one. Two, Floyd understands, and he's always understood. Yes, he has his fans, and that's powerful economic clout. But much like a young Cassius Clay, later Muhammad Ali, but he was Cassius at the time, saw Gorgeous George the wrestler, I think it was probably the late 50s, and saw everyone was there booing Gorgeous George. And he realized, boy, you can make money with your fans. But the people who would pay to see you beat, you make a lot of money with them too. And Floyd, I think, understands that. And so in the octagon, people would see, okay, there's a chance that he could lose here. We don't like Floyd. We want to see him beat. And so that could stoke interest. But furthermore, Stephen A., it's not entirely clear to me that were he to sign a 4-fight deal with the UFC, he would have to fight in MMA. Why couldn't the UFC serve as a boxing promoter? In other words, they could sign him to a deal, I'm sure, if they guaranteed him a certain amount of money. And who says they all have to be fights in the octagon? I don't know. So there's a lot of stuff like that going on there, where even if Floyd right now is thinking, I'm not going to do that, I'm just keeping my name in the news, or I'll help my business partner at times, Dana White. They just made a lot of money together if he wants to use my name to pump his product. Or maybe there is more to this than meets the eye, and something could actually happen. I wouldn't rule it out of hand. I think that there is a chance here because there's, Stephen A, lot of money to be made.
Well, that's the end of that video. Hit the subscribe button on the way out. Request anything in the comment section down below. And I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.